If you're going through a spiritual awakening and are sometimes finding yourself thinking that you may be going crazy or having some very bizarre side effects, this video is going to help you understand what can be expected in terms of very strange, going crazy side effects in the spiritual awakening process. But most importantly, what you can do to stay sane during this very intensive process of spiritual awakening. Because there can be many bizarre side effects that arise, and you may feel like that you're going crazy. And this is actually very normal. Because the spiritual awakening process is a whole shift in identity. It's a whole shift in the physio-energetic structure and how you feel and are in the world. And so there are some very strange side effects that can arise. So let's start with this video. Some of these bizarre side effects can be, some people report hearing voices. And this is a very strange side effect and very interesting because basically all of us have different thoughts going through our mind. But when you begin to awaken, you begin to notice the fact that you are not the thinker of your thoughts, but rather these thoughts are arising within you. And so as this kind of realignment process begins to happen, you may feel like that you are hearing voices, so to speak. But this is actually the way that it's always been. So you've always had these types of thoughts in your mind, but now you're starting to notice the fact that thoughts are something that arise within you and that you're not necessarily the thinker of your thoughts. And so some people can experience this as hearing voices, and this can bring up a certain sense of fear or some anxiety, and this is actually quite normal. Some people can report seeing different types of beings, maybe angel beings, maybe hellish beings or devils or whatever. This can be experienced internally or even visually out in the world. So seeing different types of beings out in the world, and this can also bring up a certain sense of fear or anxiety. But it has also been reported by many people in the past. Paranoia. So paranoia and fear can arise within you during this process. You may start to be paranoid about endless things, about yourself, about other people, about the world, about different types of beings, about conspiracy theories. Different types of paranoia may arise during the spiritual awakening process. Delusion. So paranoia can be called a certain sense of delusion. So different types of delusions may arise during the spiritual awakening process. Delusions of grandeur, which means that you may think that you are a very special enlightened being on some mission, or you may think different types of delusions about other people. So delusion is thoughts that are not in line with reality. So it's very hard in the moment to know what is delusion and what is reality. And when you're going through a spiritual awakening process, this may be the case for you at certain points in time. Visual changes. So you may at certain times experience the world as changing visually for you. You may see reality in a different way. You may see things more sharp, less clear. You may see reality in many different miraculous ways while you're going through the spiritual awakening process. And lastly, there can be a lot of grief that arises during the spiritual awakening process. And this can be normal. There can be a lot of sadness, memories from the past, from this life, from past lives, different types of very sad or difficult memories to process during the spiritual awakening process. So as we can see, there's many different weird phenomena that can trick you into thinking that you're going crazy. So it's very important to stay sane during this process. So I've prepared a list of what you can actually do in order to ground yourself and stay sane and present if you're experiencing any of these side effects. So let's go through that. The most important thing to know when you're going through a spiritual awakening and having bizarre side effects is that you need some kind of teacher or mentor, having some kind of support. Maybe you have a community of practitioners or somebody who can understand you. Because if you're going through some very bizarre side effects, this is what we call a spiritual emergency. And so having support is crucial during these points in time in your practice. Another thing that can be very helpful is walking. If you are sitting still, if you're just sitting in one place, this can tend to bring up a lot of energy and become very stagnant. So having some kind of walk, even walking back and forth, or going for some kind of long walk can be extremely helpful during these moments of destabilization. Physical exercise or training can be extremely important because there can be too much energy in the mind, too much energy in the body. And so relieving that through some kind of training, intensity training, can be extremely helpful. Going into nature. Nature has a tendency to relax us, to release endorphins, to make us feel more connected and more peaceful. So this can be very helpful to walk in nature during these moments of destabilization. And lastly, it's important to know that if you are experiencing some very destabilizing side effects, it's very important to stop practicing meditation or stop doing any kind of spiritual practice until you have established that you feel stable. Because if you continue to push through, if you continue to practice while you're going through these very destabilizing experiences, this may destabilize you even further. And so I hope you enjoyed this video and it was very helpful for you. Do click on some of the links below. If you want more of my help, you can schedule a free consultation with me or join my free Facebook community or get my free balance of mind training. and I'll speak to you soon.